Hi guys, this is Taylor and I am here to wrap up my reading for the month of December. I'm just gonna put a disclaimer right up front and say that December was actually a complete and total crapshoot. I just could not seem to win with the things I picked up this month, so just buckle up and we're gonna come in hot. The first book I read this month was actually one of the very last books that I had left to read that I said I wanted to get to in 2018, and that is Big Sur by Jack Kerouac. I had said that I wanted to give this a try because I absolutely detested On the Road. It is in fact my least favorite book of all time, but I felt that I should at least try one more Kerouac before I gave up on him forever, and especially because he's one of those authors that I really wanted to like and wanted to associate myself with, like growing up. But unsurprisingly, I hated this. I didn't hate this as much as On the Road, but I hated this. This is about a fictionalized, I guess, Jack Kerouac wandering around the area of Big Sur in California alone and with friends and just having an extended mental breakdown. Like I said, I found this slightly less obnoxious than On the Road and slightly more self-aware, but I just did not enjoy a single second of this, and unfortunately I don't really have anything intelligent to say about this because I was just so done and I just wanted this experience to be over. I'm sorry if you like Kerouac, but the good news is that you're not going to have to hear me go on and on about him anymore because this will most definitely be my last Kerouac. I gave this one 1 star. It was the only 1 star that I gave this year. It is going to get better from here though. The next book I read in December was Swimming with Bridgeport Girls by Anthony Tambakis. I think primarily because this takes place partly in Connecticut and I live in Connecticut. I saw this featured in a lot of local bookstores and we featured it at the library, so I decided to pick it up. This is about a man who is served divorce papers from his wife, kind of out of the blue he thinks, and he goes on a seemingly hopeless quest to try and win back her affections. He also suffers pretty badly from a gambling addiction, so a big part of his scheme to win back his wife is that he's gonna win and win big. The tone of this book is very conversational, very light and funny for most of it, and I think that's because we as readers are supposed to sympathize with the main character and laugh along with him even though he's a total asshole. We're supposed to like root for him as the underdog, but I just found him so oblivious to the harm that he was causing all around him that I couldn't get behind him or his intentions, and that really held me back from really engaging with this book. It did have its merits though. There were a couple of really beautiful nuggets of like wisdom and truth in here that I really enjoyed, and I kind of got the sense that the author could have gotten away with a little bit of a more literary type of work and it just would have worked better for me. And I did appreciate the insights into gambling addiction, which is something that I hadn't really read about or considered before in a meaningful way. So I gave this one 3 stars. It had its moments, but I just don't think it was really for me. Next up in December, I read The Frolic of the Beasts by Yukio Mishima. I read Confessions of a Mask earlier this year and surprisingly loved it, so I was excited to see that one of Mishima's lesser known works had been newly translated into English and published for the first time in English, and this came out at the end of November. This is basically about our main character Koji, who commits, I guess, a crime of passion, goes to jail, comes back, and immediately reinserts himself into the lives of the family to whom he committed this crime. It's pitched as a love triangle type of story, which I guess it sort of is. Basically, I started reading this in November when it came out, and I finally finished it around Christmas, I think. This is not a large book. So this really dragged for me. I found it really dull a lot of the time. I just did not want to pick it up. You would get flashes of the really twisted logic that's present in a lot of Mishima's characters. There were some things that Koji said or did that were such red flags and that was so interesting, but then there would be another 50 pages where nothing really seemed to happen. So this ended up being not the experience that I was looking for. I guess I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads, but looking back, I'm kind of surprised that I didn't give it 2 stars. It gives me kind of a 2-star feeling now that I'm a little bit more removed from it. Really unfortunate because I was hoping for more of the spark that I originally felt when I read Confessions of a Mask. And lastly, in December, I returned to some old favorites. I picked up the next 2 in the Royal Diaries series. I read Lady of Palenque, Flower of Bacall, Mesoamerica AD 749, and Kazunomiya, Prisoner of Heaven, Japan 1858. So these are fictionalized diaries of real-life historical princesses, and they're in kind of a middle grade-y age range. I pick these up every so often when I need a little bit of a break from the other things that I read. However, Lady of Palenque also turned out to be really dull. She is a Mesoamerican princess who throughout the course of the book is basically journeying from her homeland to the homeland of the prince or the king that she's going to marry, and I can't really put my finger on why this one didn't really work. I just didn't find it interesting for some reason. I thought it might be just me at the time or my mindset, but then actually when I was logging this onto Goodreads, I saw so many like 2 and 1-star reviews that also said like the same exact thing that I was thinking. Like, I love this series, but there's just something about this one that doesn't really work. So I gave this one 2 stars, which again is unfortunate because it's such an interesting time period and culture, and I was looking forward to enjoying this one. Kazunomiya was much better, thankfully, and I think this is probably the book that I enjoyed the most this month. So Kazunomiya was basically used as a political pawn. She was the first descendant of the emperor to ever marry a Japanese shogun for political reasons, and just the plot was interesting. The court drama was great, and it just had better characters, I feel like. And one of the aspects that I really enjoyed about this one was that the main way that people in the court would communicate with each other would actually be through poetry. So if you got into a fight with someone, you might send an apology poem, or if someone was trying to warn you of something, you might get this cryptic poem from them that you had to kind of figure out the meaning of. That added a really interesting layer to it, and overall this one was just a lot better. So I gave this one 3 stars. It was solid, but it's still not really one of my favorites of the series, but after this month, I mean, I was taking what I got. So that was December for me. It got a little bit better at the end, but still. I hope I can leave the bad reading luck of the last 3 or so months, just leave it in 2018, and I will see you next in my best books of 2018 video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day. Happy New Year, and bye!